Hello everyone, how are you? Today we will start with the first lesson in our term, which is called matter and its characteristics. In this lesson we will talk about a more important thing, which is called matter. So what's the meaning of matter? The everything around us that has mass and volume. So now what's the difference between mass and volume? Mass, the amount of matter in an object, and we can measure mass by units like gram, kilogram, and ton. While volume is the space that's occupied by the object, and we can measure the volume by units like cubic centimeter, cubic meter, liter, milliliter. And now matter has many properties. First, physical properties, and second, chemical properties. And we can use both of them to distinguish or differentiate between each kinds of matter. Now, with the first property, it's called physical properties. Number one, color, taste, and smell. We can differentiate by using color, taste, and smell by between a lot of materials, like number one, color, number two, taste, number three, smell. We can distinguish between iron, gold, and silver by its color. We can distinguish between sugar and salt by taste, and we can distinguish between perfume and vinegar by using smell. Number two, which is called density, and it's more important in exam. What we know of density is the mass of a unit volume of a matter. So it's the mass of a unit volume of a matter. We can measure mass by gram, volume by cubic centimeter, and density by gram per cubic centimeter. So now, before we start in this problem, again, what's the meaning of density? If you put a lot of materials inside a basin contains water, and this material like wood, cork, coin, and nail, what happen? The nail and coin will sink in water while what float? What float? Wood and cork. So now we have important question, which is called give reason. A piece of wood floats on the water surface while a piece of lead sinks in it. The answer, because the density of wood is smaller than water, while the density of lead is larger than water. So now we understand what? We understand that the density is a distinguish factor that we can use it to distinguish between materials. And we can measure density by rule. This rule is called density equal mass over volume. For example, this problem is more important. On determination iron density using a piece of iron of mass 78 gram, the piece is immersed in 100 cubic centimeter of water. The water increases up to 110 cubic centimeter. Calculate the density of iron. Let's answer it. We know that we can get density by rule mass over volume. We have mass, but we don't have volume. So the volume of iron equal the second volume minus the first volume, V2 minus V1, equal 100 minus 1, 110 minus 100 equal 10 cubic centimeter. So now let's get density. Density equal mass over volume. Let's get it. Mass equals 78 over volume 10 equals 7.8 gram per cubic centimeter. Next. We have three important questions in exam. We said the first one, the second. Give reason, water is not used to extinguish petrol fire. We can't use water to extinguish. What's the meaning of extinguish? Put off petrol fire. because the density of oil is lower than or smaller than water. So oil float in water surface and keeps burning. Number two, balloons which is filled with hydrogen and helium rise upward during festivals. Why these balloons go up? The answer, because their density are less than the air. Next, number three, we can differentiate between materials according to their melting point. So first, what do you mean of melting point? Melting point is the temperature at which matter changes from solid state to liquid state. And we can classify materials into two types. First, high melting point. Second, low melting point. High melting point, like metal, such as iron, copper, and aluminum. And low melting point, like ice, wax, and butter. So in iron and copper and aluminum, they need more heat to melt, to change from solid to liquid, while ice or wax or butter, they need low temperature to change. Number four is called boiling point. So what I mean of boiling point is the temperature at which matter changes from liquid to gaseous state. And each substance has definite boiling points. And we can apply that on what? We can apply that in the separation of oil components. And we can heat it and get every component of petrol alone by using boiling points. Number five is hardness. And we can classify materials into three types, which are number one, soft materials, like rubber. Number two, materials that can be bent by heat. What do you mean of can be bent? Can be softened by heat, like metals. Metals like what? Iron, copper, and aluminum. And number three, materials that cannot be bent by heat, like coal and sulfur. Give reason. Iron rod, not copper, are used in building houses concrete. Why we use iron, not copper, in building houses? The answer, due to the hardness of iron that's more than copper. Number two, give reason. Screwdrivers are made of steel iron. Why we use steel iron in making screwdriver? Because it's very hard. Next. Number six is thermal conduction. And we can classify materials according to thermal conduction into two types: good thermal conductors and bad thermal conductors. So first, what do I mean of good thermal conductors? They are materials that allow heat to pass through them, like metals. What do I mean of metals? Like copper, iron, and aluminum. And we can use them in making what? In making cooking pots, like aluminum. We use aluminum in making cooking pots. While bad thermal conductors, they are materials that don't allow heat to pass through them, like wood and plastic. And we can use them, like wood and plastic, in making the handles of cooking pots. Number seven, we can differentiate between materials according to their electric conduction into good conductor of electricity and bad conductor. What do you mean of good conductor? They are materials that allow electricity to pass through them, like a lot of metals, like copper, aluminum, silver, and some of acids. And we use good conductor of electricity in making electric cables that made of copper, and the electric screwdriver are made of steel. While bad electric conductors, they are materials. They don't allow electricity to pass through them, like non-metals such as sulfur, phosphorus, sugar solution, hydrogen chloride in benzene, wood, plastic, and so on. And we can use bad conductor of electricity in making the handles of a electric screwdriver, which is made from wood or plastic. Finally, we reach the last thing in our lesson, which is called chemical activity. And we can differentiate between materials according to chemical activity into three types: very active metal, less active metal, and inactive metal. Very active metals, they are elements, they react fast with oxygen in air, like sodium and potassium, and we put sodium and potassium under kerosene surface. Why? To prevent them to react with moist air or humid air. And the second type is called less active metal. They are elements, they react slowly with the oxygen, so they rust after a long time, like iron, copper, and aluminium. So we must paint them regularly. And finally, the last one is called inactive metal. They are elements, they don't react with oxygen. Like what? Like silver, platinum, nickel, chromium, and gold. And now we have important question. Give reason. Number one, sodium and potassium kept under kerosene surface. The answer: to prevent them to react with oxygen. Number two, active metal. Now give reason. Painting metallic bridges and holders in light bulbs in street. Why? Because they are from what? From iron, and they are less active metal, and they will react with oxygen. The answer: to protect them from rust. Number three, the spares of car must be coated with grease. Why? To protect them from rust. And that's all. Thank you very much. Bye.